Hello, I hope you're doing well. You're watching Psyche Alchemy, and I'm very, very grateful to you for that. This is the second episode of It Wasn't Your Fault, and it's actually where we're talking about the topic of shame. Let me say this. If you haven't seen the previous episode, you absolutely need to watch that first. I recommend taking a few days, maybe a week, to let the ideas and concepts from that episode settle in your mind, and being before coming to this one. Watch them in this order. In the previous episode, we discussed two main parts, which I'll quickly review. One part was about the different faces of shame. We talked about how shame is a deceptive feeling. It manifests in various forms. It's unlikely that we experience shame in its pure form. It wears different disguises, different masks. We said these masks that shame puts on are likely the behaviors we see in ourselves. But when we trace their roots, we arrive at the experience of shame. We also talked about the cause of shame. Its root is abuse. There are three types of abuse: sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and physical abuse. We gave various examples related to abuse, and I should mention that, as I said in the previous episode, we're navigating this journey with the help of a book written by Dr. Beverly Engel, a shame researcher with clinical, academic, and lived experience on the topic. This is the book guiding our journey. In this episode, we want to continue the discussion from here. When shame is experienced by a child during childhood, whether in a single incident or through a prolonged process, what emotions does the child experience in that process or moment? The author wants to take us by the hand and bring us back to our childhood, confronting us with what we experienced during that time. Perhaps we've numbed ourselves today, or maybe we've tried to hide those experiences because they were painful, complex, or taboo. But the point is that the author says, to meet ourselves, we need to return to the heart of those emotions, to what happened to us. We need to revisit those feelings and see what they were and what their roots are. The author says that shame is a natural response to abuse, and one common feeling that children experience during or in the process of abuse is a sense of inferiority. This feeling of inferiority is the sense of being violated and the belief that the child deserved to be violated. Let's explore an example that's less commonly discussed to unpack this topic a bit more. The issue of poverty. For decades, in a society where people's economic conditions remain poor despite their efforts, because the structures don't function well, because the society isn't economically prosperous or fertile, generations may experience poverty, which causes many, many different harms. But one harm that's less talked about, almost like an unwritten myth, is the connection between poverty and shame. Let me put it simply. Imagine a child growing up in a family that, for various reasons, is struggling economically. This child, as you can see, is the most innocent character in this economic situation. They bear no guilt or fault for these poor economic conditions, this poverty. But what is their lived experience with this poverty? It's a kind of feeling of inferiority. It's as if they have to hide their identity or who they are from others, as if this poverty is a kind of contamination, as if it's somehow their fault, and as if it's something they must try with all their being to conceal in order to be accepted by others, something they had no role in creating. What shapes a child's identity? Their parents, right? A child might try to hide their parents from others. And see how painful it is for a child to have to hide the roots of their identity, the source of who they are, as if it's a disease or a contamination. Let's think about what else shapes a child's identity. Their daily experiences, the moments from when they return from school in the afternoon until the next day. Imagine a child who has to create fictional or false stories to talk about things that never happened, or who can't talk about what they're truly experiencing in their daily life. Things that might be valuable to them, but they're forced to hide. They have to wear a mask, hide behind a false identity. See how painful this is. Imagine a child who, when everyone is talking about their travel experiences, is the quietest member of the group. If they want to share how they spent their summer, they likely resort to all sorts of made-up stories to hide what really happened. See what a painful experience this child is going through. I want to say that it might only become clear to us now when we look back at our childhood, what we went through without realizing how painful it was. Is there anything more painful than a child having to hide their identity, or who they are from others, and gradually even from themselves? So, one feeling is inferiority, which I tried to unpack a bit with the example of poverty. Another feeling, more common in physical or sexual abuse, but also present emotionally in our society, is the feeling of being contaminated. After these abuses, a child feels contaminated about their body, about their physical self. It's as if, throughout their life, they treat their body unkindly because that sense of contamination is somehow embedded within them. For this reason, they mistreat their body for various reasons. Beyond the issues related to sexual or physical abuse, there's also the emotional aspect. How does a culture help people, especially during transitional periods like puberty, relate to and accept their bodies? This is a very important issue, one that I think has been handled in the most painful and terrible way possible in our society, especially for girls. Imagine a culture where, when a girl is experiencing physical changes, she's shamed for something that's naturally happening within her. The culture tries to make her hide it, tries to portray it as something dirty. Imagine a girl or a boy, already vulnerable enough during these changes and at that age, having this sense of contamination institutionalized within them. Every time they're in different situations, it's painfully triggered again, echoing in their mind. The author also talks about the feeling that if others find out who I really am, they'll reject me or abandon me. This comes from the child's experience of abuse, where they see themselves as contaminated and try to hide their true self from others. The reason for this is that they feel if others discover the reality of who they are, they'll be left alone. And see, this stays with them forever. What's more important than a person being able to embrace their authentic, real self? What's more painful than a person having to reject their true self? Who is lonelier than someone who can't even meet themselves? It's as if in childhood, because of the experience of shame, we learn to loathe ourselves and become unable to live as ourselves. The author explains that what a child experiences during and after the process of abuse is a sense of helplessness, disconnection, loneliness, and worthlessness. They experience this collection of feelings together. There's no external resource to heal these feelings, no one to share them with. These feelings are too complex for the child to process on their own, and so they remain painfully tucked away in the recesses of their psyche, casting a spell over their entire life, like a curse that affects everything unless they return to their childhood. Now stronger, with more muscle, they can face those feelings again. So you see, what we're doing in this episode is going back to the context of childhood, to what we went through and couldn't understand, explain, or feel at the time. It reminds us to feel it now, when we're stronger, so we can break free from its grip. The author talks about how shame is a deep sense of internal helplessness and worthlessness. She says that, in general, you can even see it in body language. All of this leads to a desire to hide, even from your own eyes. Have you noticed when someone talks about their experience of shame, they say, "I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me"? It's a desire to disappear, to become invisible, or they describe it as, "I melted from embarrassment." It's a desire for annihilation, to become invisible. Or even in body language, when someone shrinks during an experience of shame, they try to take up as little space as possible because they don't want to be seen at all. The important point the author makes is that this desire to not be seen isn't just about others. It's also about not being seen by yourself. You haven't seen yourself for years. The experience of shame creates the first barrier between you and yourself, for reasons that weren't your fault. Let me repeat the definition of shame we mentioned at the beginning. Shame is a lie that was told to you about yourself, and you believed that lie. Think about the example of poverty, or the experience of sexual assault or physical harm. All of these have led you to believe a lie about yourself that says there's a deep sense of helplessness and worthlessness inside you. Moving forward, the author provides a questionnaire, which I want to read. I think it organizes the discussion so far beautifully and takes us to the core of the problem we might have in our lives without even realizing it. The questionnaire has 35 questions. As I mentioned, Dr. Beverly Engel has been researching shame for 35 years, and it's almost as if unconsciously her 35 years of experience have led to these 35 questions for us to ask ourselves, with answers being either yes or no. This isn't one of those questionnaires where you add up numbers or calculate an average at the end. If you have a pen and paper nearby, just mark a check or cross, or even answer the questions in your mind. At the end, it's as if an inner sense tells you how much this issue exists in you and how serious it is. I think this is a very, very important step. So I'll read the questionnaire and I ask you, it might be hard to hear each question because it takes us to the heart of our pain, but listen calmly, feel it, and answer yes or no honestly to yourself. After finishing the questionnaire, we'll continue the discussion. Questionnaire: are you afflicted with paralyzing shame due to childhood abuse? This is the main goal and result of the questionnaire. 1. Do you blame yourself for the abuse you experienced in childhood? 2. Do you believe that if you hadn't provoked your parents, other adults, or older children, they wouldn't have abused you? 3. Do you believe you were stubborn, headstrong, or selfish as a child and deserved the abuse you received? 4. Do you believe you made it difficult for your parents or others to love you? 5. Do you believe you disappointed your parents or family? 6. Do you feel that your essence is not lovable? 7. Do you have an inner critic that looks for flaws in your recent actions? 8. Are you a perfectionist? 9. Do you believe you're not worthy of happiness, being loved, or success? 10. Do you find it hard to believe that others love you? 11th. Do you push away those who treat you well? 12. Are you afraid that if people knew the real you, they might not accept or love you, feeling you're deceitful? 13. Do you believe that everyone who likes your behavior or loves you must have something wrong with them? 14. Do you feel like a failure? 15. Do you hate yourself? 16. Do you think your appearance and essence are ugly? 17. Do you hate your body? 18. Do you believe the only way for others to love you is to do everything they want? 19. Are you constantly seeking approval from others? 20. When talking with others, do you hide parts of yourself and are always careful not to hurt their feelings? 21st. Do you feel that the only thing you have to offer others is your sexuality? 22. Are you addicted to alcohol, drugs, sex, pornography, shopping, gambling, stealing, or other forms of addiction? 23. Is it impossible to accept that you've said something wrong or made a mistake? 24. Do you feel bad about how you treat others? 25. Are you afraid of the things you're capable of doing? 26. Are you afraid of your tendency to abuse others verbally, emotionally, physically, or sexually? 27. Have you had relationships in the past or present where you were verbally, emotionally, physically, or sexually abused? 28. In the past or present, have you felt that you deserve to be abused? 29. If there's a problem in your relationships, do you always blame yourself? 30. Do you feel like you always fail and your efforts are worthless? 31. Do you sabotage your joys, relationships, or successes? 32. Do you engage in self-destructive behaviors such as reckless driving, self-harm, or suicide attempts? 33rd. Do you feel inferior or less than others? 34. Do you lie about your achievements or life history to appear better in others' eyes? 35. Do you neglect your body, health, or emotional needs, such as not eating properly, not sleeping enough, or not caring for your medical health? These are the 35 questions, and at the bottom it says there's no formal scoring for this questionnaire. But if your answer to most of the questions was yes, you can be sure that you're afflicted with paralyzing shame. I wrote at the bottom, I, Mark, am afflicted with paralyzing shame. This questionnaire helps us see behind our behaviors, helps us see the main problem. Something we might not have realized was our main issue until now. I didn't know that this issue of shame had affected so many different aspects of my life. What's present in this questionnaire in all these 35 points, some of which we might have, some of which we might not, is the feeling of worthlessness, of being unacceptable, of not being lovable, and in one word, the feeling of being bad. Think again about that definition of shame. Shame is a lie that was told to you about yourself. Shame is a lie that was told to you about yourself, and you believed that lie. Another important point is that this shame is a feeling that seems to affect all our other emotions. Have you noticed that in different situations, your sense of self-worth, joy, success, love, connection with others, all of these seem to be poisoned by the shadow of shame? It's as if shame targets the foundation of a person's identity, shaping their sense of who they are. The important thing is that once we know this, we can start to take action to confront this shame. Friends, something the author says that was very important and interesting to me is that confronting shame is scary. There's definitely something there that we haven't faced until now, something we didn't want to see or process. But the point is that what awaits us, whether it's anger, sadness, or a bit of hardship, isn't more intense than what we're already experiencing in a hidden way through denial. It's very important to see the reality and set aside denial. No matter how hard it is, it's not harder to bear than this situation. We often have no idea what kind of hidden pressure our body and psyche are enduring under the weight of this concealment. As we saw, this shame has poisoned our entire being and identity. And it's important to face all the pain to free ourselves from this prison of shame. The author says that after confronting shame, people describe feeling like they've become a different person. See how important that is? They feel like energy has returned to their lives, that they can connect with life and the world, that a stone or obstacle has been removed from their path, and now they can enter the world and life. They feel like the zest, energy, and enthusiasm for life in various areas have returned. They feel like flavors taste good again, that they can see people again, that they can fight for the things they love, and that they can experience a sense of belonging to themselves again. The entire healing process is encouraging. That's the path we're going to take, and the point is that healing exists. We can reach recovery. We need to move forward step by step together. First, we need to accept that we might have paralyzing shame. This might stir some emotional impulses in you over the coming week. You might feel sad sometimes, you might return to your childhood, you might harshly judge your parents, or you might absolve them. There's a mix of all these conflicting feelings within you. Let all these contradictory feelings flow within you. This is part of the healing. Let the pain be, let it all coexist, and gradually feeling this seemingly unbearable thing will help us break free. We also have an exercise which I'll mention at the end. We'll continue the discussion in a few days and dive into the different layers of shame and examine them. In the first part, our exercise was to watch a movie called Good Will Hunting. I'll write it in the description of this episode. If you haven't seen that movie, definitely watch it. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know listening to these things might be hard, but I promise that while it's tough at first, we'll pass through this pain and reach recovery, then liberation, and then an embrace with the child we've forgotten for years. Shame has created a barrier between us and that child. We're trying to remove that barrier so we can see ourselves. I wish you the very best from the bottom of my heart, and we'll be back very soon to continue the discussion from here. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me on this journey of healing and transformation with Psyche Alchemy. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay part of our community exploring the depths of the psyche. Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, keep flowing toward your true self.